Here we go, guys. Here we go. NFL season starts in a week. Time to make all my predictions. Want to do the win-loss record of each and every team. Spend a couple minutes on each team, playoff predictions, the whole 9 yards. But before I start, the only thing I wanted to remind people, if you're new to betting on sports, you're not quite sure, I'm happy to work with you one-on-one to help you through it. But if you're making preseason bets on the over/under for the teams, right, you don't have to pick the number that they're setting it at. You can always do an adjusted over, they'll change that line to give you better odds, right? Like, so for example, if you like the Ravens this year and you really think they're going to win 14, 15, 16 games, instead of betting over 11 and a half, you can adjust it up to 12 and a half or even 13 and a half, and you'll get better odds. Or vice versa, if you were fading the Ravens and you thought they were only going to win 7 games and you wanted to bet as and get the best odds possible, you can lower it to 9.5, 8.5, whatever you think is best. Or you can just lower it to 8.5 and bet the over because you think you just want to be more conservative and you think the Ravens 100% are going to win 9 games. My point is, you can make your own bet. You're not married to the number that they're giving you, especially when you're betting online and you're shopping it around. Each and every sports book I've ever seen will always allow the adjusted over under. So if you need any help going through that, happy to help you. Okay, anyway, let's roll. Bills, Bills, Bills. That's where we're going to start because that's easy. I only need to spend a minute on the AFC East. Really, Buffalo's going to win. I got them at 12 wins. 13 last year is what they had. I got them winning 12. I just don't really see the relevance in talking about Buffalo until we get to the playoffs and see what the matchups look like. But they're going to bring back the majority of their roster. They'll just probably be better at almost everything. Allen's still peaking, so we'll see what the injuries look like. We'll see how other teams look, but Buffalo's going to win the AFC East. And the rest of the East, I'm just not with it. I don't think the Patriots are going to be that great. What did they win? 4 games last year. I got them winning 6 this year. I just think it's too many new pieces. And offensively, I'm just not sold on the offensive line. They spent the first round pick on the left tackle, who I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it all works out for him. And then the rest of the offensive line is just Vrabel comes in. Drake, I don't know. I'm just not super sold on the Patriots. I know the schedule's soft. Stephon Diggs is there. The rookie running back looked good returning a kick, but that was the preseason. And I just don't know if the Patriots are going to be that good. And I could see them taking a jump the following year, but this year it just seems like too many new pieces and a complicated offense for McDaniel to teach Drake May. I'm just not sold on it. I got the Patriots. What did I say? 6 wins. I got the Jets at 7 wins. I think the Jets and they'll be a team you don't really feel like playing. Justin Fields is gonna. I don't know if he can ever make it as a starting quarterback, but if he was going to make it as a starting quarterback, he would need much better supporting cast than what the Jets are offering him at the skill positions. But at the same time, I think they'll be able to run the football. The offensive line's improved, and the defense is going to be really solid. I think that the vibes will be much better without Aaron Rodgers. So I got the Jets being a team that you don't really feel like playing at the end of the year. I think they'll be better towards the end of the year when it gets colder outside and maybe some teams overlook them. New coach. Look out for the Jets maybe the following year. I just don't know about Justin Fields. I got to see it to believe it. The Dolphins seem like a flaming disaster. They get the worst pub of the summer. Just bad things coming out of all of their practices with joint practices. Just bad everything. Bad juju over there with Miami. Skill wise, they have great players, and the pass rush should be good. I just don't. I don't know. I thought the Dolphins were going to make the playoffs last year. They won 8 games. Didn't really think they won 8 games when I was going through everything. I didn't really remember them winning 8 games. I think they win 7, 8 games. I think I wrote down 8. Basically, the same team they had last year. They should be healthier, but at the same time, they always seem to screw around, and I just can't get excited about the Dolphins. Finding the last 1 or 2 playoff rosters or playoff spots in the AFC was challenging because I just don't know. It's very top heavy. I think everybody agrees on that. I couldn't quite get there with the Dolphins. I don't think they'll be absolutely terrible. I think the Patriots, Jets, and Dolphins are all pretty much around the same spot, and give or take a win or two. I just don't think any of those 3 teams are relevant by the time we get to Christmas. So Woo, let's roll. AFC West. I couldn't talk myself into anything besides the Chiefs. I think when I look at the Chiefs, it's just like same thing as Buffalo. It's just let's see what the matchups look like at the end of the year, but they're going to be really good. And if you try to convince yourself otherwise, I think you're. I just wouldn't bet against Mahomes. I wouldn't bet against the Chiefs. There's other things to bet on. I said this last year, and I feel the same way. I don't know exactly how they're going to play, but I imagine they're going to be good. I imagine they're going to be pissed off from what happened in the Super Bowl, and I just don't think it's wise to bet against them. They shored up the offensive line by all accounts with the left tackle Simmons from Ohio State. And yeah, the Chiefs and the Bills, they'll be there at the end. I'm not going to go contrarian there. So the Chargers are the team where I'm like, I'm going to give them the last playoff spot begrudgingly, and because I just think Hardball is too good of a coach, and we'll get to the last week of the season, the Chargers will probably sneak in there. So I have the Chargers winning 10 games, and yeah, that's. I think they're basically the same team as last year. The only difference I would say is when they get to the playoffs, I wouldn't want to play them. Whereas last year, it felt like that game against the Texans, they really were terrible, and it might help them going into the playoffs this year. So even if they're a road playoff team, the Chargers might be friskier at the end of the year. I think they start off struggling, they get it together, they find a way to make the playoffs. The Broncos do not make the playoffs. I wanted to be high on the Broncos. They seem like a trendy pick. You go through a lot of the schedule and Sean Payton and Bo Nix and blah blah blah. They added a bunch of guys on defense. The defense was already really good. The problem I have with the Broncos is the defense was really good last year against really bad quarterbacks, and they're going to play better quarterbacks this year. The expectations are higher, and there's just a big drop off in year two. There just usually is. Stroud experienced it last year. I think Bo Nix is going to struggle. The Broncos didn't get him enough weapons. I think they need one or two more guys. We'll see what the rookie running back looks like. That division's going to be tough. I got the Broncos missing the playoffs, not by much, but I got them winning 8 games, going 8-9. Maybe they drop uh, a couple games at the end of the season, or excuse me, a couple games at the end of the game, whereas last year they seemed to win some of those close games. So I don't think the Broncos make the playoffs. And the Raiders, Pete Carroll's going to need another year. I wanted to talk myself into the Raiders, but you just go through the team, it's just not very good. So they add Geno Smith and they add Ashton Genty. So that's better. That's certainly better than what they had last year. But and they got Bowers, but the offensive line's not good, and the defense really isn't good. Carroll took off a whole year. Raiders maybe need 1 year to kind of fluster out some of the guys. They've already traded a handful of guys, at least guys on defense that Carroll wasn't fond of, that were somewhat of a surprise, starting with that Wilkins character in the offseason. So I just don't think excuse me. I just don't think the Raiders are just that good. So I got the Raiders winning 6 games, and maybe they need an influx of talent in the offseason. Carroll maybe can make one more run at it. I'm rooting for him. I like him. He's the young, whatever he is, 70 years old, but not this year. So Chiefs making the playoffs, Bills making the playoffs, Chargers making the playoffs. In the AFC South, the Colts are. I like the Colts last year. I hate the Colts now. I'll always hate the Colts forever. Last year took years off my life, the Anthony Richardson experience, and then Flacco wasn't good either. This year they're going to go Daniel Jones. That can't be good. They'll probably win 4 games. Steichen will be an offensive coordinator somewhere else next year. Maybe Pittsburgh, as Pittsburgh's going to suck. That's a preview for you. I don't know. I just don't think the Colts are going to be good. They have good skill players, actually like throughout the roster. But Daniel Jones was so bad last year, and I don't know. Just seems like a team that's getting a brand new quarterback. They'll probably tank it on the way out. I just feel like the Colts have had this window where they've been mediocre now for like 5, 6 years in the post Andrew Luck situation. I don't like it. So 4 wins for the Colts. Jaguars are frisky. 8 wins for the Jaguars. They'll be exciting. They're a good fantasy team. New coach, new offense. Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, Brian Thomas. They got ETN. They're not great on defense, and I don't know if that's going to change. So I got them winning 8 games. It wouldn't shock me if they won 10 and made the playoffs, but instead of the Jags making the playoffs, I got the Titans making the playoffs. This is my big in the AFC, I guess, surprise. And I feel like whoever's the quarterback this year, it's got to be a 7-win improvement from the Will Levis situation. The Titans won 3 games last year. Will Levis, he just Will Levis and the Titans special teams combination last year has got to be the worst quarterback special teams combination in the entire history of the NFL. They lost 4 or 5 games just on almost unbelievable plays that you wouldn't believe were happening. Will Levis was sabotaging the team. Cam Ward seems amazing. I'm gonna go with Cam Ward is amazing. I'm gonna go with the Titans actually have good players. Titans thought they were gonna make the playoffs last year. Titans have a really good roster, especially on the front seven. Jeffrey Simmons and company up front. I'm gonna say the Titans get the 7th spot, maybe even the 6th spot. The Titans and the Chargers are my 2 wild cards at the end of or the 6th and the 7th spot in the AFC. I got the Titans because I got the Texans winning the division. So I like Cam Ward. I think it's a huge upgrade. And I'm not convinced that the Titans coach Callahan's not actually good on offense. We'll see what the Titans offense looks like. But I'm bullish on Tennessee. So Houston wins the division. Another thing about Houston that makes me excited besides CJ Stroud, I think he's going to be great this year. He struggled last year because the offensive line was god awful. Laremy Tunsil's gone. I think it's actually an upgrade. They got rid of the entire offensive line and felt like they needed to do that. The offensive line was just terrible. Stroud's going to take more ownership of the team. It's a new offensive coordinator. And the Texans have the best defense outside of Baltimore in the entire NFL. Texans defense was good enough to beat Kansas City last year, which would have given them, 2 playoff victories, put them in the AFC Championship game against Buffalo. So the Texans defense is fantastic. I think they win the division. I got them winning 12 games. I think they're better than they were last year. In the North, we'll start with Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers, they just aren't that good. You go through it all, and I think they finally just don't get to Tomlin loses the streak. It just doesn't work out for Rodgers. I don't believe it. I really could care less about him off the field. I was open-minded watching him last year. He just looked scared. And the Steelers just aren't that good. The offensive line's not that good. And it was an interesting trade to get Ramsey to move off Fitzpatrick. I don't know. The defense has always been good, but it was a lot of noise this year in the offseason with Hayward and Watt. Watt's paid. He's always going to get hurt. We'll see. If I'm wrong, maybe I'm being biased, but I think Pittsburgh's going to suck. I got them winning 6 games this year. They get a brand new quarterback. They start over. Do they start over with Tomlin? I don't know. Probably not. He probably moves somewhere else. And the Steelers start brand new with a new quarterback. The Browns, they're going to be annoying the first month of the season. Really not looking forward to the second game of the year because the defense, as long as the Browns think they can win the game, the defense is going to be good. The defense will start to suck at the end of the year if the Browns start to suck. Who knows with Flacco? He wasn't great last year in the dysfunction that was the Colts, but this year he gets the ball. He's going to be looked at. I mean, everybody thinks the Browns are going to suck, but the Browns don't think they're going to suck. So I got them winning 7 games. I guess that's my hot take is that the Steelers win 6 and the Browns win 7. Not good enough to make the playoffs, but they'll somehow screw up getting a top 5 pick. And Flacco will play most of the year. They're just a hot mess in the quarterback situation, but the defense is good. Defense is really good, and they play the division really well. If you look at the stats over the past 5 years, especially in the Stefanski era, they actually played the division really well. So it wouldn't shock me if they win 7. I got the Bengals being really good. I hope I'm a little wrong here, and I love the Ravens also, but I feel like the Bengals are going to be really, really, really good, and we're going to battle for the 1 seed, including Kansas City, including Buffalo. But for some reason, I just feel like Cincinnati might win 14 games this year, and the Ravens win 14 and we tie, or we get 13. But I love the Ravens. I'll do more on the Ravens just by themselves. I feel like we can win the Super Bowl, even if we were the wild card team, even if we're the 4 seed. But the Bengals, to me, it's the perfect storm because their offense is going to be better than it was last year. I don't know how it's going to be worse. It can't just be, it was historic last year and there's a drop off this year, like based on what they're bringing everything back. And the running back Chase Brown to me is really good. And they're going to play with the chip on their shoulder. And the defense is just going to be better because they have a new coordinator. And I don't know. I don't want to carry on about it because I don't like Cincinnati and I don't want to bet any money on it because I won't do it. But my gut just tells me it's going to be a monster year for the Bengals. Wouldn't shock me if they get the 1 seed. Wouldn't shock me if one of those 5 teams gets the 1 seed between the Ravens, Bengals, Chiefs, Texans, and the Bills. And I pray it's the Ravens, but part of me feels like maybe we need to go on the road for 3 straight weeks, even though that make it more difficult. It's the one thing that we haven't done in Lamar era. So I don't know that, but I have a feeling the Bengals are going to be really good. But I do think the Ravens are going to win the AFC. I haven't predicted the Ravens to win the AFC since Lamar's been here. So I've been late to the train on Lamar, and I just haven't really believed in the team and the construction of the team. And I had to see what Henry looked like last year, and he looked so good that I just I don't think we're going to be able to be stopped on the ground. I think the Ravens started this trend that we're seeing from the past few years by running the football, right? Like they were the first team that really broke the trend in the Lamar era. The Eagles, you can argue, perfected it, took it all the way to the Super Bowl, add the tush push, but it was the Ravens in that Greg Roman, Lamar, Mark Ingram, with the Willie Snead era, right? Like where we just didn't have any receivers that were scary and they just ran the ball right down your throat. And then the Titans game happened. And ever since, Lamar's been improving, the Ravens have been improving, but they haven't quite gotten back to that dominant offense where you just feel like you can't stop them. And I feel like this is the year where it's just they're just gonna peak at the very end, win on the road if they have to, win at home if they have to. So I'm all in on the Ravens. The defense to me is going to be the best defense in the NFL. I see zero holes. I was a little worried about the run defense in the offseason, but Urban and whatchamacallit, and Jenkins to sure things up is helpful. But Travis Jones, just the more you hear about him and the camp he had, it should be so dominant. And even though the guy Peebles, the rookie, isn't a run stuffer, it's another big body up front. And so love the Ravens, but also do love the Bengals this year. All right, NFC. Ooh, All right, we'll start in the North because the North is. I feel like you could go almost any different direction with the 3 teams besides the Bears. I don't blame anybody if they want to buy into the Bears because they shored up the offensive line. They did a lot of things that you'd be like, yeah, this is how you build a team. New offensive minded head coach, shore up the offensive line. The defense should be pretty solid. I just really don't believe in the quarterback, and I'm not sure if the running game is going to be good enough with DeAndre Swift. I got the Bears winning 8 games. I got them being better. What did they win last year? 6, 7. What did they win? 5. Oh, they only won 5. Yeah, I got them winning 8. I think they'll be much better. I just don't think they'll be good enough to make the playoffs. And the Packers, I wanted to put the Packers in the playoffs. I was really close to putting them in the playoffs, but something just tells me that Jordan Love needs one more year. It's been a little too easy for him. He's made the playoffs each year. I think they fall short at 9-8. I can't tell you exactly what the holes are with the Packers, except I don't think they have enough blue chip players. Josh Jacobs was really good last year. If he gets banged up a little bit, I think the offense would struggle through the passing game. I don't know. Something just seems off about the Packers where they have been flirting with, hey, can we be a Super Bowl contender? For the past couple of years with Love, they were awesome in that Cowboys game in the playoffs. They were the hot pick last year. Some tells me they fall short. And I think the Vikings are a little bit better than the Packers. Worse than they were last year, where they won 14 last year. But I love the Vikings. I love what they did with the defensive line in the offseason. They shored up the run defense, and Brian Flores, in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, he's the best defensive coordinator. The Vikings are ridiculous on defense once they get you into a passing situation. They just fell off at the end of the year and couldn't quite get it done. Haven't seen McCarthy. Wouldn't necessarily put money on the Vikings making the playoffs, but my gut tells me he's going to be good enough with O'Connell and all the weapons they have. Justin Jefferson's the best player in football. That's I just think he's so good. Aaron Jones is great at running back. They have Addison, they have Hawkinson. Just got a good feeling about the Vikings that they're back in the playoffs. Maybe they win a road playoff game this year, but they're not going to win the division. The Lions, I got them 13 wins in contention for the one seed. The Lions are, a popular pick to maybe pick to not be as good because they lost both coordinators and the offensive line's changed. I get all that. Maybe they struggle a little bit early in the season, but I love that they're getting everybody back on defense. I think the defense is actually going to be much better. I don't know if Aaron Glenn was doing a masterful job as Jaden Daniels was cooking them in the playoffs. I think the Lions with Hutchinson back, McNeil back, their defensive tackle, they get basically 4 or 5 guys back. They swap out DJ Reed for Darius Slay in the back end. I love the Lions this year. Plus, they'll play with a chip on their shoulder because they lost both coordinators. So I got the Lions winning the division at 13 wins. The one thing that I was, the one thing that I was pretty early on last year, made money on the most was with the Bucks. I was pretty confident in their offense, and Tampa's offense should be really good again this year. Some of the receivers are banged up, but they brought in Buka from Ohio State, so they get some receivers back. Later in the season, they bring back the entire offensive line. The left tackle's banged up, maybe misses a week or two, but the Bucks are going to be really good. I was trying to put them in the Super Bowl, but part of me feels like the defense is just missing a couple pieces. They tried to shore it up a little bit. It was terrible last year. That's why they lost to Washington in the playoffs. But I got the Bucks winning the division. The division sucks. The division shouldn't be very competitive. Bucks winning 12 games. We'll see what they look like at the end of the year if the defense is good enough. But yeah, I love Tampa Bay, so I can't really find any faults with their team. They bring back everything that worked, and they tried to bring back some new guys on defense. So I expect them to be even better than last year. Panthers are going to be decent. The Panthers finished the year pretty strong last year. I got them winning 8 games and just building. Not really any hot takes on the Panthers, except a team you don't really want to play because they're bringing back a lot of continuity on offense. Just not quite sure if they get to the playoffs, but I got them closer to getting to the playoffs than being a top 10 team, top 10 pick. So Falcons suck. I think the Falcons are going to be a disaster. They just lost their right tackle for the season, and who with a left-handed quarterback is losing your left tackle for a right-handed quarterback. So Penix back there, they got weapons, but they need a new coach, new GM. I got the Falcons being terrible. I got them winning 5 games. I don't know why they have Kirk Cousins and what they're going to do with them, but it's just I think the team's bad. The defensive players that they drafted seem like they're good prospects, but yeah, they're lacking a lot of talent in the run defense department, and I just think the offensive line's going to suck. If they get an injury with one of their skill players, then they're really in trouble. I got the Falcons winning 5 games, and I got the Saints winning 5-6 games. I don't think the Saints will be as bad as the Falcons. I think the Saints will be right with the Falcons. If anything, the Saints have a better defense. They'll be a team you'd rather not play at the end of the year. I could see that happening, whereas the Falcons feel like they'll just be turning the ball over and can't stop anybody. The Saints defense might not be terrible. So before you take the under on the Saints, I don't know. Spencer Rattler's going to be the quarterback. They started off really good last year, the Saints did. I don't know exactly how they did that, but for some reason, I feel like the Falcons will be worse than the Saints. So both teams won't be good. And the Panthers, I got them as clear second. Bucks winning the division. Okay, West. I guess my hottest take in the NFC is going to be the West because I got the Cardinals winning the division. I really love the Cardinals this year. That would be my favorite team to take a big jump. I think they won 7 games, or did they get to 8 last year? Yeah, they won 8 games last year. I think they're going to be really good this year. Kyler needs a big year. He wants to still be the quarterback. Kyler's got the most like, I don't know if the Cardinals, I'm trying to think of the right word, but if the Cardinals are really bad this year, they'll move off of them and get a new quarterback because there are about 4 quarterbacks coming out from college, at least 4 quarterbacks. You never know. They could be really good next year. And the Cardinals have just been doing the Kyler Murray thing for a while. He hasn't won a playoff game. I think there's a lot on the line for him. He still wants to get paid, even though he's been paid, like that other contract. He wants to stay relevant. And I think he's going to be really good. I love the offense. I love Trey McBride. I love James Conner. Marvin Harrison wasn't great last year. I think he'll be better this year. And then defensively, they really got a lot of guys. The secondary is going to be good. Gannon, the coach, is a defensive guy. I got the Cardinals being they fit the mold of the Ravens and the Eagles, where that run game is going to be really hard to stop. The offensive line solid. I got the Cardinals winning 12 games. And I got the Rams making the playoffs, winning what I write down 10 games for the Rams. Rams defense is solid, really, really, really solid, especially the front seven. They're really deep. That's why I'm confident in the Rams. Even if Stafford misses a few games, they got Garoppolo to back him up, or Stenson Bennett, and I wouldn't be shocked if they won a couple of those games because the Rams defense is super talented. Puka Nacua is my favorite player, not on the Ravens. And yeah, I got the Rams winning 10 games, just not being as dynamic as the Cardinals on offense and potentially just falling a little bit short at the end of some games. They don't get a real home field advantage. So I got the Rams being more dangerous in the playoffs, but I think they're going to have to do it on the road. And the Niners and the Seahawks, I have in the same boat. Niners, 7 wins, Seahawks, 5. I was high on the Seahawks last year. I'm not this year. I'm not high on Sam Darnold. I think Kevin O'Connell is the right coach, not trying to take too much away from Kubiak. I know that it's a new system that Seattle's running, but I don't know. McDonald had a coordinator last year. He gave up on him. The defense is still lacking some talent up front. I don't know. Something feels off with Seattle. That division's going to be competitive. I'm not sure if Darnold's the answer. The offensive line's weak. They drafted a guard that seems good in the first round, but the rest of the offensive line's not great. Seahawks, yeah, not high on the Seahawks. And same thing with the Niners. The Niners offense should be, as long as Shanahan's there, it's going to be a team that's going to be solid. They bring Salah back defensively, but everybody's young. I think the Niners maybe start off pretty good, but they fade out. I got them winning 8, 9 games, or what did I say, 7, is somewhere in that range, 7, 8, 9 games. I just think that they fade out at the end because they don't have enough depth on defense. They won 6 games last year. They're a little better. Purdy's okay. Obviously, can get you to the Super Bowl, but the rest of the pieces got to work. Niners reload for the following year, but this year they fall short. And I got the Cardinals. I got the Cardinals being a really good regular season team, and we'll see what happens in the postseason. And then last but not least, the East. That's probably the hottest take besides the Cardinals is I got the Giants making the playoffs. That's my 7th team. I got got the Giants making the playoffs. So I'll start with them. Russell Wilson. I love the defense. I love the defense, especially the front 4, 5, 6 guys rush the passer. They're going to be really hard to stop if they can get the lead. And I have a weird feeling that Neighbors and Tracy and Russell Wilson trying to stay relevant. The Giants catch some teams off guard. The schedule's not easy to start off, but if they can just survive, kind of get to the end. I got the Giants winning 10, maybe 11 games this year and getting the wild card spot over Washington and over Dallas. I think Dallas and Washington are basically in the same boat. I don't know if Dallas is going to be terrible, but to finish my thought on the Giants, they fundamentally are going to be so much better at quarterback. And Russell Wilson is, I just have a feeling. I got a feeling he hasn't been bad his whole career. If he's not good this year, it's his last chance to be a starting quarterback. Steelers did make the playoffs last year. The NFC East is, I got a feeling. I got a feeling with Russell Wilson, and I don't have a feeling with Jaden Daniels. Get to him in a second. But the Cowboys are explosive on offense. They win 8, 9 games. They flirt with being a team that you're like, I kind of want to pencil in the Cowboys, but I ultimately went with the Giants over the Cowboys. And I got Washington finishing 4th. I got Washington winning 7 games. I don't like almost every single addition Washington makes. I'm like, I didn't like it. At the end of the year last year, I liked their team. I'm high on Washington. How could you not be? They go toe-to-toe with the Lions and then absolutely beat them, right? Like they're just hanging in there, and then they do more than hang in there. They score more points than the Lions, and you're just like, man, they make turnovers on defense. And then the Eagles beat them, and you're like, what should you guys shore up? And I'm like, how about run defense? Let's get stronger. Maybe a couple guys on the back end. But instead, they bring in Laramie Tunzel, who I just don't like Larry Tunsil. He gets so many penalties last year for the Texans, and I just don't like him. I think that's a subtraction. When you bring him in as the left tackle, I'm not sure what his energy's like. I like Daniels being the leader, and then they also bring in Debo Samuel, and I don't know how that fits him. I just I don't know. It's like you're changing things up. Just can you give me some guys that can run really good routes, and can we keep running the ball with Eckler and Robinson? But instead, you trade Robinson. He wasn't happy. McLaurin basically sat out for a while before you just paid him. Eckler's the primary running back. Something just tells me Washington takes a step back. It's the same thing with Denver. These teams, now they're being hunted. Last year they were the hunters. This year they're being hunted. I think Washington falls short, and the Giants make the playoffs instead of Washington. And I got the Eagles. Yep, I was wrong about them last year. Not going to be wrong about them this year because I saw it, with my own two eyes. And if you try to fade the Eagles this year, you're just probably costing yourself a lot of money. I think the Eagles are going to be amazing in the regular season, especially because Hurts got bad press in the offseason. It allows him to play with the chip on his shoulder. The defense, I mean, they were so young last year. They lost a couple pieces up front, but I don't know. The Eagles are going to be really good. We'll see what happens when we get to the postseason. But for now, if you made me pick before the year, I'll say the Ravens beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl because both teams are going to run the ball extremely well. It's the most predictable thing that on 3rd and 3, 4th and 2, I think the best two teams are going to be the Ravens and the Eagles. The way football's changed over the past few years with not as big defensive tackles and big middle linebackers and more of an emphasis on quick passing game. The defenses were built to stop that, and now we've transitioned to this power run game. And I don't know if the defenses have quite caught up. So I'm going to favor the Ravens. I'm going to favor the Eagles. I'm going to favor the Cardinals. I'm going to favor teams that have the running quarterback, like the Bills and the Chiefs if they need to. But because the Ravens and the Eagles are the best at it, that's where I'm at. So, all right, here we go. Woo! Time to take a breath. Did I get everybody? I hope I didn't miss a team. I think I got everybody. All right, pod coming out tomorrow live because I finally figured this out, but I wanted to get through all the teams here. But live tomorrow with J-Mart or Saturday morning, Friday night or Saturday morning. That's going to be when we go live to do all the college football stuff. And yeah, if you have any questions about those over-unders, preseason bets, anything, I'm here to help. So just shoot me a message, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, or Saturday. See ya.